My teacher in high school, history teacher. I mean, I don't remember much from high school, here and there. But the few prominent things, hey, what's up, Alyssa? Few prominent things I remember from high school was my teacher being very adamant that they pass laws while you're sleeping. No. Was he my economics teacher? I think he did economics. I'm sorry. There was another thing from a history teacher I remember. I'm not going to get into that. But my my teacher always said they pass laws while you sleep. Now, why do you think they do that? I can tell you why I think, but I think everyone should come to their own perception of why they're passing laws as you sleep. And I think they would schedule things at 1 in the morning because they don't want the public to have a say. I think open discourse, open debate, open discussion is an important thing. And I think when you try to do stuff in secret, like the new budget plan that raised the deficit in America by $4 trillion. They raised the deficit by $3.8 trillion. And that money that America is losing is going directly into the pockets of the wealthiest people. And the rest of us will pay that bill. That is our debt. And I think the reason they did this vote at 1 a.m. in the morning was to hide it from the public and then to spin the PR and spin the narratives. And it's really, really depressing. Dominic, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm just not dealing with it today. So, Dominic, if you want to come with some hate, go somewhere else. Go to Tim Pool's live stream or wherever the fuck he does stuff. Just get out of here. I'm not in the mood today. My name is Rob. I do live news commentary every day. And I'm just not having it today. I was kind of excited last night, thinking that, I'm at 1,980 something subscribers. I was very excited because, I've been doing this for a long time, over a year doing the live stream. Been doing the, been doing the videos for even longer. And for me, being a small YouTuber who talks about the stuff that I do, who I care about, people not get the poorest people, the most vulnerable people not losing their access to food or food banks or SNAP. And for this kind of commentary, it's usually known in dumb circles as the woke left, radicals. And I'm radical because I believe you shouldn't have to work to have health care. And they're kicking people off. They're kicking people off healthcare with this new bill. And I think in one of the richest countries in the world, if this doesn't bug you that kids, old people, and adults who can't work are going to lose access to their health care and potentially die because of this, then, this isn't the place for you. I hope you guys are doing good. I'm not doing good today, so I don't know how long this is going to be. And I'm just going to tell you real quick, like Patty P, I want to go full throttle at your name and at you, but I'm going to restrain myself. Because I'm not in a good mood, and I understand when I'm not mentally doing well. But again, I try to remind myself of the exciting things, that I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. I did not think I would get here. And I see a lot of YouTubers who just blow up and get to like 50,000 real quick. And I always think like, damn, that's so cool, man. I wonder what that feels like. And for me, that hasn't been my journey. But I don't talk about popular things. I'm not here to say like, Donald Trump is smart or any stuff like that. I'm here to say, like, look at how the past 40 years have been going, folks. And it's not been working out for the working people. Hence, the last election, people were concerned about the price of eggs. And they listened to a guy who was like, I'm going to fix egg prices on day one. And then day one came and he was like, I ain't doing shit about eggs, you morons. Leave me alone. I mean, that's their leader. Cat Lillip, I appreciate that, you subscribing. I'm not, that's the other thing YouTube has done. Once I cracked it, the funniest part for me was like, as soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube is like, we're changing everything. It's not 1,000 subscribers anymore. Now you need watch hours. And I was like, ah, god damn. It was literally the same week YouTube changed their algorithm or whatever, their monetization, their partner program. It was literally that week where they were like, we're dropping it to 500 subscribers. You just need 4,000 watch hours. And I was like, as soon as I hit 1,000, my goodness, you could go back to the dates. Alyssa, I appreciate that. But here's the other thing. So that's why you can't send me money. I don't have super chats or none of that. I don't have the watch hours. And as life gets harder, it's harder for me to produce videos because I edit them myself, and editing usually takes me like 1 to 2 to 3 days. But I appreciate that. I do have a buy me a coffee link in the description, but I'll never, ever, people are struggling too hard, you know? I'm fine with taking money from YouTube. They're doing fine. But other community members, don't do drugs. That's a good motto. I can hit my people so they can like and subscribe and keep liking and subscribing. Oh, Cat Lil, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That is super kind. That is super kind. You know, you always got to look out for stuff like that. I want to just take this moment because mentally I'm in a horrible fucking state. I'm not doing well. But I just want to take a moment to say that, like, stuff like that you can't overlook when people are that kind and people want to support. Those are the beautiful things that, when people say it's the little things in life, that's a little thing right there that you have to stop and appreciate. Thank you, Caden Brower. And there's some more news I want to talk about. ABC president telling the ladies on The View. I never thought I'd come to the defense of the ladies of The View, but he's telling them to calm down with the talking about Trump and criticizing Trump. This is very anti-American, folks. But I mean, we've been here for a while. Corporations dictate what we can do. I wanted to remind people that Neil Young is speaking out against Trump, just like Bruce Springsteen, and probably a lot of your favorite artists do not like Trump. But watching that bill get passed and seeing $4 trillion added to the debt ceiling, so wealthy people can get bigger tax breaks, so the corporations can have a 21% permanent tax rate, which is less than Americans pay, less than you and I. Caden, thank you. I appreciate that. So what I was going to say is I'm going to talk about the news, but just be warned today, if these MAGA people come in here trying to troll me, because usually it's never like a good conversation. I'm always down for a good conversation. If you're MAGA and you're like, well, this is what I love, great. But if you're MAGA and you just want to say Donald Trump won, Joe Biden, Kamala, like, I can't fucking entertain this anymore. It shows the level of like intellect that they're at. And it's irritating. So I'm just not eat the rich. There we go. See, those are the little things, CJ. Those are the little things. When we can just think about how one day, it might not be my generation, it might be the next one, but one day, I mean, the bill is coming, folks. The bill is coming. You can't keep getting away with this shit. And I mean, just think about it. Think about the people who voted and that farmer who went viral. And he was like, I voted for Trump, but I didn't have time to look up that he was going to cut all the funding that I had already secured. And it's like, the day is coming. There's only a finite amount of people in this country, and you're going to piss when you think everyone is against you. And that's what Donald Trump does. Make no mistake. if you're not praising him, just watch his meetings when he has all his staff, the all staff meetings. They all have to start by praising him. Dear Supreme Leader, you're the greatest. We've never seen anything like this in history. So if you're not constantly doing that, you're his enemy. He has no allegiance, no agenda besides money for himself. I don't watch soccer. I'm sorry, goofball. I'm sorry. What's up, Smallo? Cat Lillo. Of course you don't. You can tell who doesn't like Donald because usually they're compassionate. They have some kind of empathy for others in the community. But yeah, today's just a real rough one, man. I will, like, listen, last night reading the news, reading about this bill maybe falling apart, and then I see it. I see that they had scheduled a meeting to vote at 1 a.m. and I said, "Fuck, my teacher was right. He was so correct." And I didn't know the impact when I was young and in my teens, that when he said they pass laws while you're sleeping. And the impact of that is like, you can't even, if you're sleeping, how can you even say like, I oppose this? I have for a long time. But my high school teacher saying they will pass laws while you were sleeping was a bigger metaphor for like, you have no say in this country. You have no say. It's the backdoor deals. It's the wealthy who are orchestrating these politicians to do their bidding. And you can see that in this bill. Bipolar Trip Podcast. Thank you. Thank you. Keep your head up. Like Tupac said. Gotta keep your head up. But it depresses me because listen, I'm in a bad, I'm never hidden my circumstances, I went from making 6 figures to making 4 take home. But even when I was making 6 figures, I was still like, my mindset didn't change. In fact, part of the reason they didn't renew my contract was because I fought against this bullshit. These greedy people who have too much, telling it's the people who have so little, they're the issue. And obviously, those wealthy people don't like hearing that. But what really harms me, what really hurts me is like when this bill got passed. Hey, what's up, Mel? What's going to happen over the next decade is not only like, are we in, like, look at the stock market. I put a link about the stock market. The stock market had its worst day in a month. And I didn't even think you could say that after what happened with the tariff war, with Trump tariffs, like, I didn't think there could be a worse day. And they're saying a worse day in a month. But with this new bill, they're going to kick people off Medicaid and Medicare. And they called it hefty work requirements, which you shouldn't have to work. Most of the world that is a developed nation has decided, like, people shouldn't have to work to make sure if they break their arm, they can afford a cast and healing. Like, every other country has decided this, but America. Why do you think America hasn't decided that? Well, because pharmaceutical and hospitals and these corporate medical gatekeepers have bought off our politicians. And what really bugs me is like, if you're somebody, and MAGA is constantly afraid. That's what they are. I know it doesn't come across like that, but if you fucking read the body language, they're constantly afraid. They're scared. Crime's up. Immigrants, women, men and women's, like, everything they say, they are just scared of everything. Everything scares them. And the weirdest part is, like, if you want to make your neighborhood safer, you don't take shit from the people who have the least. Just think about this concept. If you want to make your neighborhood safer and you say, like in my town, we know there is a really rough area in the town. And if you went there and said, we're going to remove your healthcare, we're going to take your food, so you're going to be hungry and hurting, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think those people are going to go, well, I just got to work harder? They're going to go, no, I've been pressed to my limits. I'm already working hard enough and hardly have the access to food and healthcare. And if you take that from those people, shit's going to get worse. You're making a tinderbox. And if you just give people, that's why, like, the majority, especially the people in the middle of this country whose rents are still somewhat fucking viable, whatever, like, they're too comfortable to, like, feel any kind of empathy for people, and they're scared of what's happening in them big woke cities on the coast, and they don't. Sorry, that was like Philadelphia, but they don't realize that, like, if you want to make your area safer, make sure the people who don't have food can get food. Make sure if like, think about this: if you, as simple as this, folks, if you see a hurt dog, are you going to decide to try to hurt it more and think that will help it? Or do you think healing it will help it? It's like that basic. And hurting fucking people who are already hurting is going to make stuff worse. If you want your community, and you can just look back through the studies and statistics. I referenced the one in the UK it was like 100 companies went to a 4-day work week, and they said, we're not going back. We're not going back. The productivity, the people, the retention, the turnover rate drops. They said, it just made people happier. We'll never go back. And that's giving to people who are already giving everything they can to these companies. You know what I mean? And it's the same concept everywhere. It's like, when people have enough, they don't feel this immediate need to, like, well, I'm hopeless. And I keep hearing this from people too. Not just in the live stream. I know we've had people in the live stream share, they feel like hopeless. But I'm talking about IRL, like people in my real life. I can't even express how sad it is to watch so many people just hurting and just harumphing through each day. And then when you think existentially about this, it's like, well, what is the point? All these people, all these MAGAs who are wearing their crosses, right? Should I do it too? Should I wear my cross on the outside? Should I do this and then fucking preach about hurting, the most vulnerable? But all the MAGAs that wear their crosses and sit up at their lecterns and lecture about how this bill that's going to cut tax, like, they still are buying into trickle-down politics, which never worked, which was a trick. It was the only true part about trickle-down. And they sit there with their crosses, which I would assume that means that they believe in Jesus, the guy who is like, fucking free healthcare, feed the hungry, gather your resources, sell it, and give the money to the poor. That fucking dude, Yeshua, that they wouldn't be talking about the stuff they passed in this bill, where it's going to make work requirements for people to have the bare... I mean, we're talking about the lowest rung in society. And that kills me, because shit is going to get worse. And the last thing I want to fucking have to try to convince people of, that's what I try to do on my live stream in this commentary, is like convince people that, like, Joe Rogan isn't your friend. Tim Pool, the Russian asset money man, is not your friend. They are fighting against people who are on the fucking outskirts, who are the lowest tier in society, okay? They have the least, and they're like, well, they're obviously the problem. Those greedy welfare queens eating, they're only allowed to shop in the Snap section. You'll see it says WIC or Snap, and I'm telling you that because I was one of them, and I was living high on the hog. Like, it's so fucking dumb. This is what I fought when I was in radio. I had this guy who had lived with his parents probably till he was like 30, has lived in the same town for his whole life. His parents were wealthy. He owns businesses, and he's talking about welfare queens. And I'm like, you really think that people who are like on SNAP, on food programs, which I know a lot of them, are like living these fucking luxurious lives? Meanwhile, the guy was like taking helicopter rides with Patriots players and, raising money for cops and, like had personal fucking detail. Like, it's just incredible that, like, while he's living this lavish life, he's telling his audience that that's what welfare people are doing. And I'm like, bro, you obviously live in this sheltered bubble and don't understand shit. And it's really there. I mean, it's fear, right? Like, he's scared of the others, and that could be anyone. And it's driven our society to today. I know you can't get on Snap unless you're poor. I'm well aware of that. Oh, I'm well aware of that. What I'm saying is a guy I worked for at my last job in radio would claim that people on Snap are living high on the hog, like they were living it up and they shouldn't be able to. And I was like, where, what planet is this? You know what I mean? Like, just go to your grocery store and go look at the foods that says WIC or SNAP, you know? Like, just look, you have a specific selection. You don't get choice. You have specific things that's usually, very limited that you can purchase. But this is the propaganda, this is, no, I know you get it. I know. I was just explaining it for other people because I understand. Sorry, I didn't mean to come across like that. Again, my mental state is at an ATL, and I'm not talking about the city, okay? If you know Bo Burnham, you know what I'm talking about. But it's just depressing because, I would love to, like I watch people just be this ultimate hypocrisy. Like these people, even like Tim Pool. I watched this clip of Tim Pool and Adam Conover, and I thought Tim Pool really thinks he's smart. But he references shit, and this is my problem. Like, we live in a day and age where on your phone you have access to like a lot of information, right? And you can verify and sort through stuff. And there are people like Tim Pool who's been found caught taking money from Russia, so he shouldn't be trusted, number one. Like, just that disqualifies you. Like, bro, sorry, And if I took millions of dollars from Russia and people said that about me, I'd be like, yo, I get it. My words are probably influenced heavily by the money I'm taking. I get no money from doing this. I just do it because, I feel like this country deserves better. But there are people that think like he's a serious person when I wish Adam Conover took a second when Tim Pool's citing these Supreme Court cases and just said, hold on, let's read what that ruling you agree with says. Because that's what I do when I'm watching stuff or I'm reading stuff. I have my phone, and when I'm reading my books and I need to look something up, I go, oh shit, I don't know that word. That's cool. Let me look this up. Partha, I'll tell you what, you can stop talking. That's what you can do. I'm just not in. I'm not into like whatever today. Usually I'll entertain. Fart Manu, good name. This stream is news commentary, so we're talking about the budget that was passed, and I try to get through to my fellow Americans who have been hornswoggled into thinking somehow that Democrats or Republicans, any politician, is working for you. I guess there is 214 of them that saw through the BS and weren't paid enough to vote for this, because the vote for the congressional budget, whatever, the bill they just passed that was over 1,000 pages that permanently lowered the corporate tax rate to 21%. That is going to kick people, the most vulnerable people, off Medicare and Medicaid, that put work requirements to get health care in this country, that raised the deficit by $3.8 trillion. $4 trillion is going to go to wealthy people, because what that deficit is the money they're not getting from corporations and taxes. So that money in the deficit, $4 trillion, this isn't coming from you and me. We're going to be paying our fair share. Oh, trust me. But it's corporations and the uber wealthy, the people who have billions. That $4 trillion that they just raised the deficit last night at 1 a.m. at their meeting, when they voted at 1 a.m, hidden at 1 a.m. Why would you take a vote at 1 a.m? Why schedule for them? Why not do it at noon? Crack a noon today when everybody's getting up. But that $4 trillion is directly going into the pockets of the people who don't need any extra money. They're not worried about heat, rent, eggs. So that's what we're talking about. And what I do is Manu. Is that how? Fart Manu. Bro just got free healthcare. Did you, Russian Armed Forces? Like and subscribe. Oh, thank you, Cat Lilip. Thank you. I'm bad at saying that. I'm almost at 2,000 subs. I'm telling you. I was in a pretty decent place. Well, listen, when you're with your children and kittens, can you really have a bad day? No. As long as you got your kids, your wife, and your kittens, yo, shit is all right. But I was also thinking about how I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. I'm like 15 people away. And I was like, that's a cool, it's a cool milestone for me. It's been a long time coming. I didn't think I would get to 2,000 subs. So let me thank, 1,990. I'm not even at 90 yet, but let me thank 1,990 of you for subscribing. Because I know in certain circles I'm considered radical, because I believe if you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to buy a home and go on 2-3 vacations a year. I don't think you should have to work to have health care, or I think medical debt shouldn't exist. I mean, that's the other thing that really bothers me. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Alyssa, Cat Lilip. There's Bandito, Soulless. Where would I be without your Soulless? Thank you to a lot of you, because even though I'm considered radical, because, working 40 hours, fuck that. I say work 32 hours. Work 30 hours. That should be full-time in America. And we're the greatest nation in the world. Why don't we have the greatest weekends ever? It's so weird to me that our perception of being great is working 100 hours a week and never owning a home. Like, where is that great? Like, whose definition of that is great? And for the people, I'll save you. For the people who are like, well, I only work 40 and already own my home. Great. You had generational wealth. Great. I'm talking about more than just you. I guess America's great at being selfish. Oh. Hello, Circuit Career Edit 22. I don't know how to say your name. My apologies. But today, just, look at, it's pouring out. It's pouring out. I'm in a bad mood. Not in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mental state. Difference between a bad mood, because I thought it was a bad mood this morning, and usually I don't eat. I save my one meal until like 2 in the afternoon, right? And at 2 in the afternoon, I'll eat a good meal, and then I don't have to eat a dinner. So I just do the one meal, right? Let's pulling yourself by your bootstraps. So usually I do my like one meal right around 2. And today I was like, maybe it is a bad mood. Maybe I need to get something in my body and eat something. And I ate a little something, and I was like, nope, this is a mental state. My grandpa planted the idea in my head that I'd be inheriting a house. Then he pulled it out from under me and gave it to my POS cousin last week. Oh, and I thought I was having a bad day. Yanking my rod. I am sorry. What a dick. Now you got... That sounds... I don't mean to laugh at that, but that sounds like an Always Sunny in Philadelphia plot. That sounds... like something I would have. Who is your grandpa? Frank Reynolds? My God. In Germany is free healthcare, but the politicians are insane. The whole world has come to us, and live from Bergengild. What's up, Germany? How you doing? Oh, Yank, thanks for sharing that. That's the other thing. I appreciate the people who come in here and genuinely, authentically share little snippets of their life. Because that's really what I mean. Listen, at the end of the day, folks, don't take life too seriously, because nobody gets out alive. Like, what do you want from this world? What do you want from this country? So many people are focused on like making sure. This is the other big thing that bugs me. I've seen so many like political conversations divulge into like, well, what do you think about transgenders and sports? And I'm like, who cares? If that is on your radar, I can tell you something. If men and women and women's sports is even on your fucking radar, consider yourself so privileged that you get to worry about that. Like, so fucking privileged. That is the most privileged argument I've never entertained. Because if you brought that up to me, I'd be like, We live in different worlds. The people I know can't afford rent. They're moving back with their parents and struggling to find insulin for their kids. Like, that's the world I live in. Men and women, I'm like, who gives a shit? Is it affecting you? Are you competing on some level? The amount of fucking people, and I'm sorry for the language, that are making that a top tier argument in America are maroons. It has nothing to do with the price of eggs, folks. I hate to break that to you. The crowd that was like, price of eggs. Dude, you should run for office. You would win. Oh, man. I hate to break this to you. I ran for mayor in a town that had a mayor for 13 years. He ran unopposed. He was an elite piece of shit. Yeah, I said it. And I drive through that town every day, and the roads aren't fixed, and the things are getting worse. And my biggest sticking point with that mayor was, in that town, there's a Tesla, there's a mall, there's what was the other big thing? Starbucks. There were all these things in that town. And when I started digging into stuff, I found out that he cut the tax rate for the biggest corporations in that town by 4%. And at the same time, this is simple math, folks. This is like when your teacher's like, you're going to need math later on in life. Like, this was the math they were talking about. And I was like, thank you, teach. He cut their tax rate by 4%. Meanwhile, he raised home taxes, people who owned homes, their land tax or whatever. He raised that by 3%, right? And then came the end of the year, and they said, ooh, we're under. Our budget is under. We don't have enough money. Now we have to raise your water rates. So everybody's water in the town started to cost more. And when I walked around, because I don't have a car, I'm borrowing my wife's right now. When I walked around that town and rode my bike to get signatures, people complained about that. They said our water rates are going up. And I said, do you know why? And they didn't. And I said, well, your mayor has cut taxes by the wealthiest. Tesla, Starbucks, the wealthiest companies in the history of the world. He cut their taxes by 4%. And they said, well, my real estate taxes have gone up. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, but when you cut taxes from the biggest corporations in the world, that's a huge chunk of money. And then when you try to get it from a bunch of people who don't have that kind of money, guess what? You're going to go into a deficit. And I said, so then he had to raise water taxes because the budget was under, because they weren't bringing in the same money when they gave corporations tax breaks. And I said, this is simple shit that can be fixed. And my first order was raise taxes on corporate. We eliminate that. We say no more tax breaks in this town. We're not going to have the people suffer. What is the point of having a business if the people can't afford to go there? This is basic shit. But when you buy into the, like, I don't know, the propaganda, the immigrant stuff, the women's, men's sport, like all this stuff, like, it's a distraction, folks. It's a distraction so they can rob you. Chris Evans is from Sudbury. He's a Massachusetts boy. Yanking my rod. That's such a logical point. Thank you. What's the new decree? Trump put weird bug in charge of nighttime, so now we all have to go to bed. He did put a worm in charge of Health and Human Services. Oh, God, my head hurts so bad. I got a headache. Mel, no more making me laugh, okay? Oh, God. Mel, that laugh just gave me a pounding headache. Oh, or exacerbated my headache. Sorry, guys. I'm not doing good today. I'm really mentally I'm not doing good. And, God, my head is hurting. This budget being passed. I'm just sad. I'm just sad because you see a lot of these Christians. Again, I got my cross out because that's what, like, Carolyn Levitt and Pam Bondi do. They wear these big golden crosses where they talk about hurting the most vulnerable in society. It's like they clearly haven't read anything Jesus said. I think it's great you ran for mayor. Thank you, Nancy 3X. Thank you. I appreciate that. But it's funny because people say, like, oh, why don't you do something, run for office? I'm like, I did. I got more votes than I got signatures. So people were hearing my message. But I also decided to take no money. And this guy ran for 13 years. He had tens of thousands of dollars. He put up signs everywhere, not on my side of town. I lived on the poorer side of town, which I didn't even realize. It's the other funny thing you learn when you're walking around. You're like, oh, you never been to the other side of town? I was like, no. They were like, oh, that's the wealthy side. And then I went to the other side of town. I was like, oh, shit. Everybody has huge lawns and backyards and like amazing. Like they're not on top of each other. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you saw banners for him. But even he had a lot of family in town, and some of them signed for my thing. And some of the people, they would go, no, he's my family. I'm not going to sign. And I would say, well, why? What do you like that he's doing? And they couldn't come up with anything. It was just they were related to him. And I mean, I can respect that. But at the same time, if your family member is going to treat Elon Musk like a family member and not you, and give him the benefits while you suffer, is that really family? You know? Jennifer, why, thank you. What color are my eyes today? Are they red? I can't laugh. It hurts. Somebody's just got to do it, you know? Somebody's got to do it. Was what rigged? My election? No, I don't think, no. I didn't expect to get any votes, I'll be honest for you, outside of mine. Well, I'm not even going to get into it, but I voted for myself, so I expected one. The fact that I got into triple digits was shocking to me, and I was very, very... We live in an oligarchy now. Yeah, the BS bill that they passed, adding all kinds of BS stuff, tells us exactly where we stand. The other thing is, like, so you got to remember, this is a 1,000-page bill. So I just shared on the community, if you hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, I just shared in the community posts, PBS, saying we just got the bill. It's 1,000 pages. We haven't got to read through it. But they highlighted something that now silencers, you don't have to register a silencer in America. And I thought, how does this benefit people? Like, if anything, there's a certain class of people that might want to reconsider that one. But, you know, to each their own. I didn't pass the bill. They did. So what are they saying? You know, what are they saying? Somebody's got to do it. Pillbilly Vance. Yeah. So yeah, long story short, Jennifer, I don't think the election I was in was rigged. But what I wanted to do and what I told people, I would love to have won. I didn't expect to lose, but I just wasn't expecting anything. My bigger thing was walking around my community, knocking on doors, and I took my kids, talking to people about what concerned them, and wanted to hear from my neighbors, like, what do you think the issues are? And a lot of people were struggling with costs, you know, and it was being done to them by the guy in charge. But I also understood this guy had run unopposed for 13 years. 13 years. He did not have one challenger. So, I mean, people just get complacent and comfortable, and any kind of change is scary. But my finishing discussion with these people was, I at least want to give you a choice. That was the most infuriating thing for me, that living in America, you have no choice, like cable in your town. In Massachusetts, cable companies do contracts with each town, so you get one choice, and they started to loosen that up. But that doesn't seem American. That seems monopolistic. And same with politics. This guy, for 13 years, you could go and vote or you could not vote. It didn't matter. No one was running against him. And I thought that was anti-American. And I was shocked when I talked to like the superintendent of schools and stuff like that, because never mind. But when I talked to like these people in higher positions, and they were like, well, you know, then they defended it. And I would say, no, it's anti-American. And you can't defend that. If you're running an election and you're the only one and nobody else is running, like, that's not good for anyone, you know? I guess it's good as long as, like, if you're trying to run against a Nazi, then, I mean, one choice is good and it's not the Nazi, just like we have right now, you know? We had these white supremacists controlling everything. It's nothing new to America, but you just think the people would have changed. We wouldn't be falling for the same old propaganda. I don't even live in the U.S. Oh, cool. Where do you live, Jennifer? I love when people are That's the other thing I really love about live streams is people come from across the globe. We have people, Bob, who's out in Nigeria, which I want to follow up with him on. Ibrahim Traore. I don't know how to say his last name. He promised free electricity and water to old folks in his country, which I thought, now that's being the best in the world. You know, you're like, we're going to take care of old people. They don't have to pay for electricity or water. That is being the greatest in the world. India? NYC. Oh, what's up, NYC? That's where a lot of my family is. Um, okay, guys, my head is pounding. The rain is coming down. I'll maybe try to go live later. I don't live in. I live in California. I lived in California. I lived in San Diego for a decade. Um, I love California, but I guess I don't know. To the person who was India. Oh, cool. Um, to the person who was like, what is this live stream about? Usually I'm trying to do commentary on the news and I'm trying to just make jokes and riff with people and give people something they haven't heard or to help them think outside the box, because these narratives that the media keeps feeding you is poisonous. And guys, if you think, to anybody who's like, well, we got to keep capitalism, or, you know, you just vote them out next time, I just want you to think about the past 40 years. Nothing has changed and it's got us here. Things have gotten worse. We need a radical change. We need something different. This is not working for the majority of people. That's why most of them subscribed to Trump. They thought he was an outsider. I'm like, the guy who said he'll donate to politicians when he needs a favor is an outsider. Like, he's the system. He is the system that you hate. We need something radically different, and it needs to lead with compassion. And for all the people who are sitting there with their Jesus cross out, I usually don't have mine out, but if they're not leading with compassion, that cross is probably burning a hole in their chest. I'm glad I decided to scroll on the live streams and found yours. People need to hear this point of view. Nan, I'm glad you're here, and I hope you hit subscribe, or after you hit subscribe, I hope you hit the notification bell, because I don't even know what day it is. I go live every weekday. I've been doing it for over a year. And it's cool when people come in that want to hear this. And it's even cooler when people come in and can open their mind to having compassion for the people who have the least in the society. That's really what this is about, folks. There are people who are really struggling every day in America. 1 in 5 kids go food insecure in America, not in another country, in America. 68,000 people a year die from illnesses that we have cures. We have preventions. We have the technology. But because we have gate-kept our healthcare, so corporations and insurers can make billions off of us, 68,000 people are dying in America. And that, guys, life is short. Even if you're old, it's a blip. All we have is right now. We can change it, but we have to come together. It's Thursday. Thank you. Hi, Duncan. The English gent. Oh, I love Europe. I love Europe. I gotta go. I gotta go again. All right, Mel, CJ. Oh, and to everybody, I hope to crack 2,000 this week, but with my mental state right now, I don't expect it. You know, I understand if people are like, fuck this guy. I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm not your chipper, what is Philly DeFranco speed reading the news at you, like the Micro Machines man. But when I do crack 2,000 subscribers, I'll take a moment, because that means the world to me. That's a cool family, a cool community, a cool coalition we have here. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of you, even the people I disagree with, because how do you progress? It's not by hearing the same thing over and over. It's by having a discussion, by pushing yourself to think differently about something, to challenging yourself to, having somebody hear what you say. It's all relative. My friend's sister in the UK, she came back last week with a suitcase full of candy. Oh, I'm telling you, the candy in the UK, their chocolate is so much better than American chocolate. And I'll leave you with that. Much love, much respect. Please, if you would, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Curtis, if you watch this later, I hope you're doing well. And CJ, good to see you. Peace.